Everybody, I'm Steven from Playa Pizza. This is Jake Petroski, candidate for school board, and this is Pizza and Politics. So, Jake, you want to make some pizza?
I'm excited. Let's do it, Steven.
All right, let's go. So the first thing we're going to do here is you've never been here before.
I have not. This is my first time.
And for the record, we've never met.
No,
first
sir.
time I've spoken with you.
Promise. Full disclosure.
Like to keep it that way. So this is I'll tell you a little bit about Playa Pizza while we're doing this. So this dough right here, this is used with non-chlorinated, non-bromated, and non-bleached flour.
Okay.
So that's our flour right over there. It's very unusual to have that. Most pizza uses a bromated flour with bromine. Potassium bromate, there's a direct correlation to cancer. It's not perceived, it's not theorized. There is a direct correlation to potassium bromine causing cancer in human beings. What's so good about it is that it makes pizza really crispy.
All right.
And it makes bread crispy, and that's why people like it. And it's very popular. We're one of the only countries in the world, and by only I mean there might be another country, that allows it. In the 70s, the FDA said to bakeries, please stop using it, but it wasn't mandated like the rest of the planet. So we go out of our way. All of our ingredients are top-notch, and we start with our flour. Okay. So no bromine, no chlorine, no bleach. So you're touching non-bromate. No, I'm just kidding. It's just pizza dough. But
so do you have to import the water? Or the...
No, we don't import it. We just go out of our way to get it. You can get it. It's just not the mass-produced version.
Right. Gotcha.
And a lot of pizza makers don't even realize that. So I'm not crapping on other pizza makers around town, but I'll meet pizza makers and be like, why are you using the bag is red. Gotcha. I'm like, why are you using the red version? Because there's a green version as well. I'm like, why don't you use the green version? They're like, oh, it's so crispy.
So is it an additive? Is that why?
Yes. Okay. They're like, it's so crispy, it's so good. I'm like, yes, but you're killing everyone. They're like, it's so crispy. Our crust is so crispy. And I'm like, our crust is crispy too. But that's our oven. We'll talk about that. All right, so what you're going to do right here is you're going to cut it right here. And we might be in the shot. I don't know if we are or not. But if you're hearing our voices, we're going to cut this dough. You're going to lift it right here. You want to keep this as round as possible. Okay. All right. So you're going to lift here while you're lifting here, and you're going to kind of like lift it like a UFO.
All right.
And drop it in that flour right there.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Go for it. Let's take a look. Doing good. Scoop under there. You're not going to hurt it, but keep it round. The important thing is keep it round. Throw it right in there. There you go. You can throw your up. Perfect. Right here? No, right here. All right. You got it. Good job. Pretty round. You did pretty good. All right, so I'm just going to throw some flour on top. And now what you want to do is, with your clean hands, because we washed our hands before we started.
Absolutely.
You're going to push the air out. Okay. Okay? You're going to push the air out, and then we're going to flip it, and you're going to push the air out. So go for it. There you go. Flip it. Push the air out. There you go. Perfect. Next thing you're going to do is we're going to throw just a little bit of flour right here on your workspace, and you're going to throw a little bit more on your pizza peel. Perfect. That's good. So we're going to take this dough, and we're going to put it here, and you're going to do a lot more of this. Okay, you're going to massage the dough, and you're going to get more air out. All right,
we can do that.
So just do that in a circle, and then we're going to flip it. You're going to do that in a circle, go across, give it a little massage. I say, make pretend this is your wife, or no, your wife's over there. Make pretend you're holding your wife's hand on your first day.
All right.
Okay,
that's almost 20 years ago.
Gentle.
We're coming up on 20 years.
There you go. Good job. Flip it and get the air out as well. I got a couple real orders. Let me tell Trey.
Yeah.
Hey, Trey. We got some orders, some real orders. We're backing you up. I apologize. You're doing good. You're doing great. You're doing great. You know why you're doing great? Because this right here, you're maintaining this circle in the flour. Okay. So that's really good. Have you ever made pizza before?
I did. Well, I'm not an expert like you, but we make some home pizzas once in a while.
Yeah? Okay, cool. So can you form a crust? Or
we can try it.
Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to take both hands, that same gentle, soft touch, and you're going to stretch. And if you do that, that's very impressive. You're going to stretch and stretch and stretch. And what you want to do is you want to maintain a strong center in the core, because that's where the weight of the pizza is going to be carried. And we're going to push this out, and we're going to make that crust. We're going to form that crust line. Okay. While we stretch it out, but maintaining here. You don't want to stretch here. You want to stretch here. So go ahead and give that a try. Give it a little more stretch with your right hand. I mean, you're doing great with your left, but do it at the same time simultaneously with both of them. You're doing really good. Good. Let me help you with the final mile. Is that okay?
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. So we're gonna. And now what you're gonna. Oh, we got a couple holes here. It's fine. We'll fix them. So now what we're gonna do right here is. You're going to take just 2 knuckles like this. Your nails are not going to touch.
Okay.
You see how my nails aren't touching? They're brought in. I don't think the camera can see that. But you're going to do that with your thumb as well. And you're going to stretch like this. And then you're going to move it and you're going to do it again. And you're going to stretch like that.
All right. We can try that.
So keep your nails out. Like claw your own palm and stretch and move it and stretch and move it. But just keep those other fingers away. All right, I think we're good. All right, yeah. So not bad. Your crust forming at the beginning was very impressive. We did what we didn't want to do. We have a very thick crust.
Okay.
And a very light interior.
I see.
So all the weight is at the crust. So we're going to be careful. We can't make it too heavy or it'll split in the oven. But it's still going to look. It's going to be good. We'll call it a rustic. Okay. Wow. How about that? But you see how it's really thick on the crust and really thin in the center? We want the opposite. But that's okay. You're not working here, right?
So with this healthier version of crust, do you guys actively market that, or is that just a trade secret? You guys don't.
No. It's not a trade secret at all. We want everyone to use it.
Right.
Like we want everyone who's making bread in our area to be using non-bromated flour.
Right.
Like it's definitely not. We do a lot of education. You know, I mean, you didn't know.
No, I didn't.
I just told you.
Absolutely.
So we educate a lot of our customers about it. But we want it to be that way. So my saying is that if I'm not going to feed it to my kids, I'm not going to feed it to yours. So when I'm procuring the ingredients that we use here at Playa Pizza, my first thing is how close can I get it produced to the restaurant, and that reduces just the greenhouse gases that we're trucking, and we're not spending fuel to truck it here, right? Like I'll give you an example. Our dessert manufacturer was in Lake Mary, Longwood. They just closed. So now it's going to New Jersey. And I'm like, do I really want to truck desserts from New Jersey to Orlando when there's plenty of talent in Orlando that can make our desserts?
Is it hard as a business owner to balance that sustainability and light eco footprint that you want to have with the margins that you guys work on here? I mean, it is a difficult industry as it is.
It's very difficult as it is. It's a great question. So I try to say that we try to practice conscious capitalism. And what we do is we just work really hard to educate people to make conscious choices and to vote with their dollars and to come here. A part of our mission is to be community driven and community focused. So we try to encourage people to support us and other small businesses. The chains, those profits leave the community. The schools around here come and ask me for money. We willingly give it because our kids go to the schools around here, right? Those chains don't care. I'm sorry to say it, but they don't. Maybe the individual proprietors, but that stock ticker doesn't know where Horizon West Florida is. So we try to do it, but we try to keep our prices in line for what the people in the community make. Our largest customer base are all those Disney workers. I have to be conscious that Disney underpays them. So I have to be conscious of my pricing to make sure. So,
well, and being a small business owner and not part of a huge chain, you have more control over things like ingredients than other places.
I have control over ingredients, but I have the highest prices when it comes to my cost, because I'm not buying 400 million pounds of tomatoes a year, right? So when the truck runs out, they short me first, right? So so my margin is even smaller. And also because, everyone here makes a very good wage, for what we do in a restaurant. I don't think I have anybody in here that averages under $20 an hour, So anyway, so we try.
Right.
I'm trying to build the community that I want my children to grow up in.
Absolutely.
That's why we're doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so what I want you to do is we have a larger, this pie's a little bit larger
than it should be. Light in the center.
Yeah, but what we're going to do is we're going to dump all of it in the center.
Okay.
And then you're going to use the bottom, and you're going to make circles, and you're going to pull that sauce all the way to the crust line, and you only want one knuckle around the crust line in the back, one knuckle. So dump it all in the middle, and use the tight circles, tight circles. Get it out of the center, because remember the center is super, super light right now. And do exactly what you're doing. Keep stretching that sauce all the way. Perfect. And you just want to pull your sauce over here. Look at all this white space over here, and you got to get it all over there too. Now your circle's good. The pie's not an actual circle, so we're good here. Don't go any more over here because we don't want to get sauce on the peel.
Smile and say cheese.
We're already recording, but sure.
There we go.
And all right, I'll finish that off for you right there. So we're gonna come over here. Awesome. Great, man. Looking good. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna take our cheese, and the cool thing about our cheese is that we use a family-owned dairy. It's multiple farmers. It's a cooperative. There's about 30 family farmers, 38 family farmers that own this dairy cooperative, and it's up in Wisconsin. It's called Burnett Dairy Cooperative.
Okay.
And we use this cheese because it's literally the ingredients are cream and salt. Like
That's it.
That's it.
Okay.
There's no additives. There's no caking agents. There's no potato starch. There's no silica. There's nothing. It's just cream and salt.
That's it. All right.
Yep. So or milk. I shouldn't say cream, but so you're going to cup your hand and you're going to toss the cheese. Your hand's going to protect the cheese from not going off. Talking about those margins, everything over here is money, right?
That's money.
So we want to go around. Same things, outside to inside.
Okay.
So go ahead and. Looking good there. All right, then finish it off right in the middle. Perfect. Good job. So we're going to do that, and I'm going to. All right, now do you like any toppings on your pizza?
You know what? I'm a veggie. I love veggies.
Okay.
But yeah, any green pepper, onions. It's always a favorite.
So we're going to skip our meats. You want some onions?
Sure, sure.
All right. So go ahead and put them on.
Next time we're invited over, Jake, we better make this.
That's right. Wow.
No more sushi.
Any other toppings?
We'll do some mushrooms.
You got some
Yeah,
mushrooms?
I love mushrooms. All right.
We got our roasted mushrooms. Anchovies. I've got some. How about have you ever had a peppadew pepper?
No. What is that?
How about a peppadew pepper?
Sure.
They're from South Africa.
Okay.
It's pickled. It's pickled.
So how much heat we talking on one of these?
Yeah, there's
Is it a
a
lot?
bite. Yeah, yeah.
Is it more than a jalapeno?
No, it's actually delicious because it's got that pickled flavor, and then all of a sudden it kicks you in the mouth right after you have it. But it's super delicious.
Awesome.
And I've got more veggies.
I don't want to distract.
That's it?
This is good.
Okay.
I think this is a good. It's a piece of
All
art.
right, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna test it, and we got some sauce on the peel, so that would have been bad. So what I'm gonna need is Trey. You can start making these. We'll be out of your way in a second. So I'm gonna take this sauce. We're gonna kind of like sand truck on the road.
I got you. Okay.
We're just gonna throw that sauce out so that the pizza will actually slide into the oven. All right, so now let's check it. All right, so this oven's rotating.
Okay.
It's moving.
So once it's on,
It's
you
a
gotta
carousel.
go. You gotta go,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
So you're not going to do an airplane.
Okay.
You're going to do a straight, and then you're going to do that like table trick where you pull the napkin off and get it out.
Okay.
So get the wood out, get the pizza in. No, you're airplaning.
Oh, I'm
Go straight. Straight in.
Straight in?
Yep. Good job,
There we
buddy.
go.
That was good.
Get on the carousel, don't look back. Right?
That was
All right.
good. All right, now hit this down. That's your timer. There we go. Let's let it cook. Let's go wash our hands again.
What kind of heat does this thing?
Let's go over 1,000 degrees, but we keep it.
Wow.
Yeah, we keep it around 520, 550, somewhere in that
Is this
range.
made like?
This was made in Italy. This is from Verona, Italy. It's a company called Marana Forni. Their family name is Marana, but This is straight from Italy. It's a brick oven, so there's a big dome back there that's hidden by this beautiful architecture. This represents the sun in Playa Pizza, so this is the color of the sun. If you look at our architecture, our floor represents the beach sand. Our walls are blue, which is the water. This is the sun, and it comes out like the sun. Our air vents are the sky, and our speakers are the clouds.
So how far in advance do you have to order one of these? I've heard like
I ordered this. I mean, long story, but we were supposed to open a year earlier than we opened.
Okay, so Trey, what's the like most popular combination besides pepperoni? That one? All right. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so you want to do a straight line through the center point and then an X.
Okay.
So do it hard. Don't be scared.
Then this. There we go.
Well, now you're gonna do 8. Yeah, do 8. Yeah, I had you with the 6 count, but now, so one more. All right, good job, buddy.
That's it.
There you go. All right, Jake, what do you think of your pizza?
It's beautiful. I'll tell you. I felt the pressure up there, Stephen. I'm not going to lie to you. I felt some pressure with the kids up there and people watching. But thank God you instructed me because it turned out round and it's
kind of round.
It looks edible.
Kind of round.
It looks edible to me. So
it is edible. It's definitely edible. So let's take a look at the bottom. The bottom's looking good, man. I don't know if that's that you or the oven.
No,
look at that flop.
No.
I don't know. I'm gonna pinch mine a little bit.
Okay.
Look at that.
Are we allowed to try this?
Yeah. Now it's time to try it.
I'm more interested in the peppers. I got to be honest with you.
The peppadew. I actually sought one that had a lot of peppadew. So that's what I wanted.
I like it.
Actually, it's really good.
It's not a bad combination, right?
It's not.
For maybe the non-meat lovers out there?
I'd kill the onion.
Okay.
That's what I would do differently next time. But yeah, this is good pizza.
It's not bad. It's not for my first one.
Well, good job, dude.
Well, I appreciate it.
Like I said earlier, we've never met. I don't know you. First time I've seen you. You, first time you've seen me.
It is.
I don't have any agenda. I've got no timer, and I've got no pre-thought of questions. Is that your phone?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Would you grab me this one? Sorry, just ruined it. I'm going to use your phone as the time.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So welcome to Playa Pizza, man, and thank you. So who are you? Where are you from? What's your bio? What's your education? What's your background? And why should people vote for you? And I'm going to eat pizza while you answer.
No, it's fine. I was born and raised in a small town in Michigan called Midland, Michigan. Very rural. Dow Chemical was there. It's about the biggest employer in the county. My dad was a firefighter my entire life growing up, and a big union town. So everybody was part of a union in some way, shape, or form. And played sports in a small school. I graduated like about 110 students in my school.
The whole school.
Well, no, I'm sorry. In my grade, my class was 110. And from there, I went on to Michigan State.
What did you study?
So I got a degree in tourism resources, which a lot of people kind of confuse with like hospitality business. This study is more the study of the movement of people and why people go to visit places and destinations and economic.
Is it in the anthropology family?
Yeah, it's actually the School of Natural Resources.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's it falls under a little bit different umbrella, but I came down to a football game to Orlando to watch Michigan State, and the band and a bunch of my buddies were staying at this hotel in Maitland, and I got talking to this guy at the bar, and he was this older gentleman, and I told him, of course, I went to Michigan State with a bunch of the other people there, and he's like, "Why don't you come work for me down here?" And I'm like, I'm like, what's this guy's angle, kind of? And he was opening up the largest authentic Irish pub in America at the time in Maitland. And it was going to be connected to the hotel we were all in. And so I said, sure. I said I would do it for like a year. A year turned into 2 years. I met my future wife there. And
Now wife.
yeah, now wife. And the rest is kind of history. I did have to go back after like 3 years and go back and finish my degree because I told them I wasn't done with my degree yet at Michigan State. So she went to law school. I went to finish my degree. And then we came back down. We got married. And the rest is kind of history.
Nice.
So.
Is that pub still there? The hotel still there?
It had been sold, but I think somebody else reopened it. It was on Tubber, Irish Pub in Maitland, right off I-4 Maitland Boulevard. But
Very cool.
yeah, so it was fun and a great experience, great learning experience. And after graduation, I came down and I had originally worked for Disney World for a little bit in the recreation line of business, and from there I decided to become a teacher and get into education.
Okay.
And that was 2005, and I've been involved in education since then in some way, shape, or form. I'm no longer a former public school teacher, but when I was also the varsity golf coach, and that was a great experience. I love that, and I spent my entire career in teaching as a career and tech ed teacher, which means it was a non-core class I taught. So I taught a class called Business Systems and Technology, and then Computing for College and Careers. And basically, the point of that is that we kind of taught kids who wanted to maybe go into the trades, how to manage your business with computers, whether it's with Excel, databases, very basic stuff. And then the flip side of that class was for the college aspect. Here are the kids that wanted to go to a traditional 4-year university. We would teach them the skills they would need in their undergrad to kind of navigate college with computers, whether it's for writing classes or math classes and things of that nature. So that's my educational background. I ended up leaving education, and now I'm more in the volunteer aspect of it. I've been on 2 school advisory council boards.
What does that mean?
School advisory council boards are actually a state mandated board that public schools are supposed to have now. And
Each school has their own?
yes, each school has their own.
And what do they do?
They basically, there's funding that the state gets. And so we are kind of like SAC board.
State gets or gives?
Gives. So the schools get. And the SAC boards, one of their duties is they have to approve where this funding goes through the discretion of the administrators. So I've been part of that. They also do other things, and they work in conjunction with the PTO, even though like PTOs aren't like state-based organizations or regulated.
Sure.
The way there's more stringent regulations on SAC boards.
Okay.
So I've been doing that.
So they just determine where funding goes?
It's not. I don't want.
Every school has one.
Yes, every
So
school.
that means every school has their volunteer groups. How many people are on?
Now that can change, and they're also the makeup of SAC boards for each school is based and should be reflective of the demographics of the school.
Of the school.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's unique to each school. Some SAC boards might have 7 people on there, and one of them has to be a parent. One of them has to be or should be a community at-large member. One person might be a small business owner, but it's supposed to be reflective of the school demographics
Of that zone school.
Yeah. That's
okay. And one more time, what are you in the SAC board determining exactly?
The SAC board really kind of it can guide certain funding or approve funding from the administrators that they've gotten from the state. So
the state money goes to the county.
Yeah.
And the county money goes to the school.
And these are let me preface it, very small amounts compared to the overall school budget.
Yeah,
this isn't the
what
school
I want to know is
budget.
what are you actually spending the money on?
These
the
are
SAC money.
These are funds that are generated through performance, standardized tests, things like that. Additional funding, not the standard operating budget. So, for instance, if there's an issue where the principal wants to approve, let's say, electrical bar strips for safety strips for plugins, right? She needs a bunch of those for classes that need more electrical outlets. She might use that funding to purchase those, and we'll just have to vote on it as a board before to give her the access to those funds.
How
to
come
use.
this principal just can't go buy safety plugs?
It's just an accountability and oversight issue. Like,
Was there a problem in the past that the state created these boards?
no, I think they also created these boards to help steer school improvement plans. Some schools really utilize their SAC boards to help with those plans a lot more than others. Some SAC boards are heavily involved working with the administrators on those school improvement plans and going over that. Some administrators like to have more of a hands-on and then, just kind of review it with the SAC board. So, every administrator is different and it's okay. And every SAC board is different, to be honest with you. But
how long is the term of
a year?
that?
It's a full
school year.
Yeah, it's a full school.
And it rotates every school year.
It does. And most of the time, it's not like a formal election because they need people to hit certain benchmarks with the state that the state wants certain community members on that board. So
okay.
They might need it might be only one person there that owns a business in the community, and so they're willing to step in on that role and represent that
sure.
on the board.
And every school has one. Elementary. Okay, I didn't know that.
Every school I'm aware of, has one.
Cool.
I've been at. So.
All right. So you were in the classroom. You left the classroom, and then you went back to the school as a part of the community.
Yeah.
Helping the principal.
Yeah.
Hopefully, do more than spend money on electrical.
Yeah.
strips.
No. That's a bad example, but I don't want to paint the picture that these huge budget.
Yeah, I hope
things
it's
we're voting
not a
on.
very big thing. That's what a school board is
They're
for. And
small
that's what the
funds.
principal's for.
It's usually like up to like $2,000 for the year that we're dealing with these funds or something like that. But yeah, so I've been a volunteer, OCPS volunteer since for about 9 years now.
Okay.
And helping out in classrooms, things of that nature. Besides my work on the SAC committees, and this year I got involved with Leadership Orange, which was the most amazing opportunity. I applied last year to become part of it, and I was accepted.
That's a school board's program, right?
So that
I've seen their ads or somebody's ads because there's one that like some lobbying organization does, and then the school board has their own. Is that
yeah? So Leadership Orange is OCPS's
okay?
Like version of it teaches you everything what it takes, kind of facilitates to teach 210,000 kids, on a given day. And so we go through every facet of learning. We visit schools. It's 8 months long, and we learn everything from transportation to how they do the calendar. We do the the exercises, new school projections. How are we going to pull kids from their zone for this school? How are we going to pull them from each neighborhood to be able to fill this school? Based on housing projections and things of that nature. Food service. We had a whole day with food service and transportation. Every year they serve about 34 million meals at OCPS, which equates to about 215,000 meals a day.
Wow.
And so it's this massive undertaking that it just kind of gives you a sneak peek on the daily operations of what it takes to run.
Anyone
OCPS.
can apply.
Anyone, I believe, can apply. I don't think it's open to OCPS employees.
Okay.
So
It's a community outreach program, or
it is. It's a way for them to kind of build ambassadors, throughout the community and community leaders to come in and really learn about the operational side of the district. And what I love about it is we all know the decisions that the district makes, but this really connects the points and why they make those decisions or the reasoning behind it, because we can only kind of see a lot of times the peripheral view of things, but this kind of dives deeper into the reasoning why those decisions are made. So,
Sure.
So it's great. I would recommend it for anybody. It was an amazing experience.
And how long is that?
8
program?
months.
8 months.
Yeah, so
Very cool.
it is fun. And, I got to I visited the transportation center and got to ride the first electric school bus the county has.
So the Orange County Schools does have a singular too?
I think it just got its second one.
Okay. And is the whole fleet being transitioned, or it's just a little test?
I think that's the way it's going because they're amazing. First of all, I don't know if you remember riding the bus as a kid or anything, but they were loud and
oh yeah, the fumes out the back window. I remember when we got the little emergency exits.
Oh, yeah.
In the roof, and then you could pop it open as a vent. Like that was a big deal, and I think they're all air conditioned now.
It is crazy to ride a school bus that is silent. I mean, that's what's wild. And, and it must improve safety at some level because those bus drivers, I mean, even with the kids talking in the back at normal levels, but then you add the sound of those big motors onto it. I mean, it was absolutely amazing to ride the electric school bus.
That's cool.
And I mean, I think with maintenance and everything else, I mean, I think it's something that, we talk a lot, you did about sustainability and leaving a light carbon footprint. OCPS is really trying to create that culture there, and that's part of it. Is their transportation? I think they transport. It was something like if you took all the bus mileage throughout a typical year, it equates to about 22 trips to the moon and back.
Wow, on the school buses.
Yeah.
All this. How many school buses are there?
I don't know. I don't know that answer, but I know there are over 500 bus routes.
Wow.
I mean, just routes. So yeah,
Okay.
it's a crazy amount.
All right. So you're raised near the Great Lakes, educated up there as well.
Yeah.
Moved down here, ended up falling in love and starting a family.
I did.
Ended up becoming a teacher even though you weren't planning on it. What did you teach?
So the actual name of the class was Business Systems and Technology, which is kind of a wild name for a class because but then they transitioned it. They changed it to Computing for College and Careers,
Okay.
which is more a descriptive name for it because it was in the Career and Tech Ed department, and so I would get the kids that were there to learn computer basics to run their businesses after school that were maybe not going into a traditional 4-year university, that were going into the trades, whether it's HVAC, welding, plumbing, but how they could use computers advantageously in their business. But then the other half of it was for college part of it, and it was equally of value to kids that were going into the 4-year university because while a lot of kids grew up playing video games at that time and felt they were computer savvy, they really didn't know how to apply it to academics, and more formal endeavors.
Yeah.
Let's say. So,
Like the doctors that come out of med school and don't know how to run a practice.
Right,
They know how to do
right.
medicine. They
Yeah,
don't know how
no,
to do
exactly.
QuickBooks.
But and that's lost on a lot of professionals, and I get it because you're so hyper focused on your curriculum, specialized curriculum. And, it's hard to learn those things. But one of the big things that I'm really trying to champion is the growth of our career and tech ed programs in school. And education is really changing, and we live in such a great community, but there's such a need for skilled tradesmen and vocational workers in our community that a lot of kids are seeing that as a desirable route.
Sure.
Other than a 4-year university.
When a 4-year degree is $100,000 and wages are 1980 wages, I mean, when my daughter was born, within 3 days of my daughter being born, I called Florida Prepaid. Because I remember when Florida Prepaid started, my parents didn't do it. And then I graduated with student loan debt. And I wish that my parents, and I don't know, I was a kid, right? I don't know. Maybe they didn't have the money. I have no idea. So I called Florida Prepaid. My daughter, within the first 3 days of life, and the man on the other line said it was going to be like $700 and something a month. And I said, sir, she's like 36 hours old. And he's like, this is how much it's going to be. The actuarials say that this is what it's going to cost when she goes. Because he's like, oh, her birthday's this month, which means she's going to be this old when she goes to college, which means, it'll be this year, blah, blah, blah. Like he knew just from her birthday when she'd be starting kindergarten, when she'd be graduating high school, when she'd be starting college. I said, we're talking about a 4-year degree at a Florida university, and you want like $780 a month. And he's like, that's what the actuarials say. And I did the math, and I was like, that's like $80,000 for in-state university. And he said, that's what the actuarials are saying. And I said, she will be a plumber. Thank you. And I hung up the phone. And guess what? I don't have any college fund for either of my children. And I am all about the trades. So
yeah, it's just, and it's not just affordability, but I think kids are seeing real opportunity there that maybe there was a stigma with the trades when I first started teaching back in like maybe 2005 or something. But I think it's really evolved, and kids and families and parents, I think that stigma's kind of gone, and people see that, it's a pathway of success, that can be had or more readily available to a lot of kids that maybe didn't know about it before.
Sure.
You know, so
There's
it's
good money in trade.
Yeah,
And it's the backbone of. I mean, this was a trade.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, and
right?
you know, for me personally, and this is just my philosophy. This isn't education isn't about success in education isn't about graduation. I don't think so. Like walking across that stage, right? It's about building like pathways of success after graduation for kids, because most of their lives are going to be lived after graduation, not before.
Sure.
And so, you know, as a school leader, we have to cultivate these pathways of success that won't just pay off with a diploma or graduation. It's what are they going to do afterwards? I mean, that's where the success kicks in, right? I mean, and how they're going to contribute to the community or be a member of the community. I mean,
So let's wrap all of this philosophy into the school board.
Yeah.
And the seat that you're running for. It's an open seat. It is a nonpartisan position. It's attempting to be made partisan. What's your opinion on that?
I think I talk to most people, and I think people are really tired of partisan politics in our schools. Is the feeling I get from most people.
But the state wants us to vote on making it partisan in November.
No, I think it's a horrible idea,
Okay.
and I would take it one step further, and I've been a little bit. I get looks from both sides of the aisle when I say this. I think that if you're running for a nonpartisan seat with schools, that you should be part or affiliated with a party.
Were you affiliated with a party?
I am affiliated with the Democratic Party, and I'm very proud of it. But you know, I think we all want the best schools for our kids.
I want to be clear though that the position is not partisan.
Absolutely. So, and I don't think partisan politics should play any role in the education of our kids. So
just to be clear, because a part of what we're trying to do is educate people.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's nonpartisan means that you are beholden, or the person, you know, whatever person is in that position is not beholden to any party agenda, any party ruler, any party politics. There is absolutely no calling up whatever Republican Party of Florida, Democratic Party of Florida, and saying, here's the agenda, this is what we're working on collectively. You don't talk to any of them in this position, and it needs to stay that way, which is what you're saying.
That's right.
So you're voting against, as an individual, you're going to vote against the amendment in November to try and make this position partisan, which would then, if I'm correct me if I am wrong, which would then behold this position to a partisan agenda that is given to that individual by party leaders.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I think it's a dangerous, slippery slope if we go there as a state. You know, like you explained it, people do get beholden to agendas, to bigger narratives, and
it's always changing. Which is very dangerous in education. So just to throw it out there, I am definitely voting against that.
It is always changing.
But our children are going to be educated with what I call outrage of the week. It's going to constantly be changing of what they're going to be learning instead of learning reading, writing, and arithmetic, right?
That's right.
And that's what every school board and every school, every teacher should be, not have to worry about a party leader going into their classroom and ruining what they're trying to do. So cool. So it's a nonpartisan position. You're not going to have to worry about that. Since we're talking about voting, Orange County Schools has a 50-cent sales tax on the ballot in November. It's a renewal of the 50-cent on top of the state 6%. It's designated 0.5 or not even 0.5, right? Or is it 0.5?
It's half.
The math, it's 0.5 on what we are taxed on here in Orange County, and that goes to the school system. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I think you hit on the important parts. It's a renewal. It's not a new tax, and it only can be used.
One of your other candidates really nailed me on because I kept calling it a tax. They're like, it's a renewal.
It is a renewal, and I believe since 2012, it's raised almost $4 billion for the schools, and it can only be used for capital funds. So that's important for people to understand. So it's only used for construction and major renovations of school and safety enhancements. So that's all it can be used on. It's not part of the operational budget for other things or programs. It is strictly for new construction, major renovations, new builds, things of that nature, and safety enhancements. And I will say, like, new HVAC systems and things of that, new safety measures put in buildings. But it is basically, when you think of the brick and mortar of OCPS, that's what that half penny sales tax goes towards. And the research shows that half of that money has been actually been raised by non-locals, tourists. So really, only
so the Mickey ice cream bars are helping build our schools.
That's right. That's right. But if you think about even the west side of our town, where we're at and where you're located, we've had the biggest explosion of growth than any other district within our OCPS district. And Board Member Gold has done a fantastic job navigating that growth. I believe she's had in her tenure over 10 new schools built under her, and that's not easy. That's a hard thing to navigate when you talk about community meetings, construction meetings, and things of that nature. It's a challenge, and she's done very well at it. And I give her all the accolades in the world for opening up that many new schools. It's hard.
And for the record, she is termed out.
Yes.
So again, I said it's an open seat. It's an open seat, so you're not running against her, and you're running for the seat. So what would be your priorities as the representative for this area if you were to be elected?
Yeah.
And your election is in
August
20th.
That's right.
We've got very strong opinions on that.
Vote by mail goes out next week, though.
Correct.
The first wave, and then
I'm doing my best to get these videos out.
Early voting goes out a couple weeks after that starts up. So, but yeah, my platform is relatively simple, but it's critical. First is school safety. We got to make sure our schools are safe and shore up our safety enhancements and features within our schools, whether it's creating better single point entries, whether it's using technology for weapons detection, things of that nature, because kids need to feel safe in our schools. And if they don't feel safe, they're not going to learn. And if teachers don't feel safe, it turns into a bad or toxic working environment. So teachers and students, administrators, safety has to be number one priority. We live in that type of world now where we have to be proactive.
We live in that type of country.
Right.
But
yeah, you're right. You're right. Exactly right. The second thing is literacy. I was reading endorsed as a teacher. I had a reading endorsement, and it's a little disheartening when you see the literacy proficiency rates be stagnant the last 7 years, hovering right around the mid-50s%, whether it's in third grade or 11th grade. We graduate in OCPS, 95% of the kids, they're touting this last year, which is awesome. That's a great achievement. I'm not taking away from that.
So the graduation rate for all of OCPS is 95%?
It's right around 95% on average. Our literacy rate, though, in 11th grade is only hovering in the mid-50s.
And how does someone graduate?
Exactly. So,
well, seriously, how do they graduate?
Well, so,
if you're at 50% literacy but 95% graduation, who failed?
We got to make sure that we're understanding what proficiency is, too. To be proficient, it's a 4 or 5 on the standardized test, right? So it doesn't mean that a person can't read if they're not proficient.
Okay.
But it does mean that they're going to struggle if they do decide to go to college or onto vocational trades with some of the textbooks. If they're not proficient, if they're reading like at a 2 or a 3, they may need remedial classes when they go into their first year of college. So, and the likelihood of them dropping out becomes much higher if they don't score a 4 or 5. Right? So there are programs out there, there are community partners that we can get with out there. The Reed Charitable Foundation is awesome. It is not a silver bullet, but the Orton Gilliam style of reading, the science of reading, wonderful. They've had wonderful results in some of the schools they're piloting it with. But it's going to take retooling and retraining of some of our teachers and really to invest in that, And I'm not saying that is the only method. The science of reading has been legislated that every school has to start doing that this year in some way. I just want to make sure that OCPS isn't just checking the box for compliance and that we're really investing in literacy in our schools, especially K through 2.
And when you say investing, because this is an administrative position.
Yeah.
So would you be trying to get the other board members to require funding to go towards that? Like, how in this position do you affect that? Because a lot of people, including me, don't know everything that this job does.
Right.
So how in this role do you affect what you just said?
I think people got to remember school boards, a large part of school boards is a compliance board, right? We have to make sure that first and foremost, OCPS schools are in compliance with state legislation.
And the state is the one who tells you
Right.
what you need to do.
And that can be a tough pill to swallow at times, right?
Especially if it's about to get partisan.
Yeah.
People need to show up and vote.
and it can get partisan on the board already. And, there are issues that come up, and we're no stranger to those issues that have come up that have turned partisan. But the board can also push for initiatives. So when you say, how can we do this? So, the board can push for an initiative, a literacy initiative to get this training done. And I want to make it very clear, I do not fault the teachers at OCPS because of our literacy rates. I don't fault the students, but I do think that we need to look at the latest science and catch up with the best tools to give our teachers to teach literacy. So by no means do I think it's an individual teacher's fault. It's just that we, as a state and as a district, have not kept up with the latest science to teach kids how to read. And the type of the Orton-Gillian's type of the science of reading I was talking about, it started off because it was great for dyslexic or neurodivergent kids, but they've seen the positive results on every child with it. So, I think my opinion is the more tools we can give our teachers that benefit the kids directly, especially when it comes to literacy or something like that, to me, that's a pretty easy fix. And that's something we can all agree on. Like, I don't understand why anybody would have a problem against some sort of initiative like that.
Okay, so safety, literacy, what else?
And growing the CTE programs.
And what is CT?
Career and Tech Ed programs, the vocational
What we just
programs
talked about earlier.
Yeah. We're doing great jobs at Orange Tech colleges and things like that fall under, most people don't realize that Orange Tech falls under OCPS, but it does.
And speaking of, and giving accolades to Pam Gould, she got a tech school right here in Ocoee, right?
Absolutely, West Side Tech.
Has that
West
opened
Tech.
yet?
Well, so there is one there, the old one, but the new
the
one,
new one.
the
I
new
saw the
one's
land
coming.
getting
Yeah,
cleared.
so that's gonna be opening up. Hopefully, I've heard later this fall. I've gotten some emails about it and things of that nature. I don't think an exact date's been set, but it goes back to with that is going to be a great facility because that is going to focus on construction trades specifically. So things like welding, anything to do with construction is going to be focused on the West Side campus. Where like downtown campus is more the health sciences or health careers. So I'm excited to have that out there. I also heard that it's going to be one of the first Orange Techs that have solar panels on the roof for sustainable energy. So that's awesome.
And how come one of my nicknames is Solar Steve, but how come our schools don't have solar on the roof? We are the Sunshine State. Maybe you don't know the answer.
No, I don't know.
Maybe I challenge you to handle that if you do get elected.
No, but I do know there are partnerships and initiatives with Duke Energy.
But they haven't happened yet.
To lower the footprint. Like we're going to all LEDs, right? All the new builds have LEDs and are supposed to be smarter schools. But you're right.
But the LED is still being powered by fossil fuel.
Right. Why is it? So, my hope is that they're going to look at the new tech college out here as a model and be like, if we can do that on a smaller scale, because it's a lot smaller than like a high school.
Sure.
Why can't we do that on our high schools, right? Why can't we have renewable energy? We're going to do it in transportation. They're trying to through federal grants and things of that nature with the buses. But it goes further than that. It seeps into our food service programs, food recovery. Why, we need to be able to reuse as much as the food as we can and give it to places, organizations, nonprofits in town that may need it for whether it's homeless shelters or things of that nature. Composting is really starting to come about more. But with the career and tech ed stuff is, a lot of people forget that agri-science is big in Florida.
Sure, right here at West Orange.
Right. So, I'm pretty good friends with this guy, Danny Gardner, that I taught with for years, and he's now head of like the agri-science or FFA part of OCPS. And I really want to try to start pushing more community gardens in our elementary schools and middle schools, because that I feel like things like that where kids can take pride in their school or beautification.
And that can be directed from the dais of the board.
Sure, why not? I mean,
No, I'm asking. Legitimately.
What people have to remember and keep in mind is that the board is not the operational everyday,
Correct.
day-to-day operation, right? Dr. Vasquez and her team handles the day-to-day operations.
And the board hired her to do that
Right,
job.
exactly. So the board is more compliance and other governance set policy, right, to help make her day-to-day operational job fall in line with state statutes. But within that, there are initiatives like community gardens or school gardens where any teacher, whether a math teacher can use the community garden for his lesson plans, like whether it's with numbers or figuring out formulas for the garden,
Sure.
or I always said a good teacher can take the standards that they're given in a class and create a lesson plan around almost anything, right? Whether it's a garden, whether it's going outside to a football field. Teachers are amazing, and teaching is, I always it's half science, half art, right? The science part happens behind the scenes with the lesson plans and the standards and the, different ways, differentiated instruction so you hit all the kids, but the art form of it is how are we going to present this lesson, right? And teachers are amazing with that. And that's really my fourth priority is investing in our teachers, because a good teacher can overcome almost any challenge in a school day.
Sure.
Whether it's a faulty whiteboard or whether the AC happens to be down that day, or supplies, they're out of the supplies they need. But really great teachers can overcome almost anything. And so we really need to invest in our teachers more.
So I want to pull the first pillar and the fourth pillar of what you want to do together. So you started with safety and you ended with supporting the teachers.
Yeah.
And supporting teachers is, safety is a part of supporting teachers.
Yeah.
As a parent, I'm going to speak as a parent right now. As a parent, I hate the militarization of our schools in the entrance. And you talked about single entrance, but our schools look like prisons. And I really don't like I'm speaking as an individual, I really don't like this test that they're doing at Horizon High with metal detectors and stuff. I don't want my kids starting the day being racked with anxiety to need that kind of stuff, because we are the only country in the world that does that kind of stuff. So how do you balance the safety? And what you said was correct. Teachers need to feel safe, just like the students need to feel safe. So how do you balance the safety with the fear industrial complex that will sell you safety, right? And there's plenty of quotes about giving up liberty and safety. Not plenty, but famous quote about giving up liberty and safety. You deserve neither, right? And so how do you balance that? And then I'll come back to the fourth one there, in their fourth part. But in your mind and in your vision, what are we lacking? What do we need? And then how? So let's just start there. What are we lacking and what do we need?
As far as safety measures are concerned? Well, I think I would disagree a little bit about the safety measures, because we're looking at it from an outsider's point of view. And I have two kids. I'll just give you a quick story. So my daughter goes to Gotha Middle School, and my other one goes to Thornbrook. And if you know the area, the Turnpike is within maybe a half a mile of the schools, right? Nothing makes my heart sink more than when I hear sirens blasting. That gets me nervous.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's down the turnpike.
Okay.
I think it could be going to a school as a dad, and I'm home at my house. And then I hear a chopper going. Then my stomach really sinks to the bottom, because I think, have I just not gotten the call yet that there's an active shooter or we're on lockdown? I hear sirens going and I hear helicopters. Most of the time, and it's tragic, most of the time it's on the turnpike. And I'm not demeaning those accidents, but it scares me to death that because of the the guns
State of
and
affairs.
state of affairs that it very easily could be an active shooter. And so,
which is insane that we have to talk about this.
Right. No, it is. It is, and I'm in full agreement of that. But so what do we do? I don't like.
But what more do we do is my question.
I guess
what
I don't.
more do we do?
I guess technology's catching up, right? So there are things we can do, and I think it has to be a layered approach. I understand the concern of we don't want our kids with anxiety going through metal detectors.
Well, I don't want the metal detector creating the anxiety.
Creating it, right? But how much anxiety is there because the metal detector might not be there? For instance, when I go to see a movie at Universal Studios, I go through a metal detector. When I go to see a movie at Disney Springs, I go through a metal detector. And I think they've gotten to the point where they're way less intrusive than
yes, they are.
You walk through.
You just keep
walking. You put your hands up, maybe.
You keep walking.
You walk through. To me, I feel safer, unfortunately. A lot of times I feel safer when my kids are in one of those theaters than I would back in the day when it's a theater that doesn't have safety measures. The other thing we can do, we talk about layered approaches, is all the schools, or most of them, have video cameras in the hallways, right? There's technology now that is out there that as soon as a weapon is pulled, whether it's a pistol or a rifle, AI can spot that detection immediately and send a notification to the SRO, right exactly where they're at, where it's spotted, so they can neutralize whatever threat there is in any way that they need to. So, when we think about investing in safety, I think we have to think about it also from the student's perspective. And a lot of kids don't feel safe in their schools anymore. And what kind of anxiety is that creating? There was a poll released: 67% of teachers don't feel safe in schools. A lot of that is from threats from kids, not outside threats.
I would like to propose or assume, because I am assuming, right, that 67%, that not feeling safe from kids, is some of that is probably from a bureaucracy of them not being allowed to manage their classroom as an authority. Yes. And we've allowed lawyers to start telling them what they are and aren't allowed to do. And I can't remember, and I brought it up, and you're my second school board candidate to come here, but I brought it up with the other person, and I said, where did I hear this? Where did I hear this? Where did I hear this? I can't remember where I heard it. But that the teachers weren't allowed in the bathrooms anymore because there's no cameras in the bathroom. So where do the fights come out? Where do the fights go? Where does the smoking go? It's all in the bathrooms because the kids know they rule the bathrooms, and then that the teachers aren't allowed to, they have to put an object between them and the student if they're breaking up a fight, and they're not allowed to use their hands to break up a fight and things like that. And it's like, what insanity are we living in? Right. When I remember when I went to middle school, paddling was still allowed.
I can remember my elementary principal having a paddle in his office, hanging on the wall.
That's here in Florida. I went to Florida. I grew up here. That was here, and I'm 41 years old. I graduated high school in 2001, so let's backdate that. So what are we in the late 90s, right? And paddling was allowed. And our assistant principal always reminded us that paddling was allowed. I never paddled anybody, but there was a paddle above his desk, and it was never used, ever. But they were allowed. And people would say, oh, how do you do that? And I learned in middle school about something called in absentia. And that the principal used to always say, I am your parent in absentia of your parent. And today the teachers aren't allowed to discipline. And how did we get to that, to where we are turning that over? You know what I mean? So, and you don't have to answer that, but.
Well, I think the underlying, to get to the underlying root of the problem is that, there's a lack of trust that's been instilled by some extremist groups with our teachers and faculty members and to school institutions as a whole, right? And at certain levels, they've, I think they've eroded some of the trust from public school teachers and administrators. And I think it's unfortunate because, like you said, there was a time when my father the teacher's word was what happened, right? And I don't think that's necessarily the case anymore, and that's an unfortunate situation.
Wait, what is not necessarily the case anymore? That the teacher's word is not what happened?
No,
or
that the perception
that
is
meant something. The teacher's word.
the word meant something, and that's usually, it was usually taken by parents as truth. Where now I think the first response by a lot of parents is to question the truth or the statement of faculty or administrators, and I think I think that's just been an erosion of trust.
So how do we change that? And to be fair to you, is that even something that you can do in this position?
I think we have to, and here's why.
Can you? Are you allowed to?
I think as a school board or as any district leader, community leader, we need to set up policies that support our teachers, right? Whether that means best practice mentoring or just more leeway in the classroom, more creative leeway. I think what's hard to balance is, and administrators find this challenging, and district leaders, is you have children with behavior issues, right? Well, first of all, what's the cause of the behavior issue? Is it they're frustrated because they can't read? Maybe not. Maybe that's one of it. Maybe there's something going on at home, right? Maybe their home life is turned upside down by something. There's a lot of variables, and so I think it's hard to balance keeping your authority in class and classroom management with the situations our kids are in these days, and removing those kids from class, right? Because the other argument is, well, I got 20 other kids that want to learn.
Thank you.
That want to learn today and that are behaving and are attentive, and I've got one student that's not. Why can't I just get rid of the one student, right? It seems like a no-brainer, but I think we're tasked with a bigger responsibility in public education. We accept everybody from the start, not all the time. Like but the great thing about public education is that it's guaranteed to all of us, all our kids, right? It doesn't matter what color you are, it doesn't matter how smart you are, it doesn't matter your LGBTQ status. I mean, we have to create.
Are you sure about that in this state?
Well, I think it's our role to create safe, welcoming learning institutions for kids, no matter what their background. And you're right; it is a challenge right now in our state, the way politics is playing out. But there are kids that wake up in the morning and they don't know if they want to make it to the end of the day. Okay, and to me that's tragic. And at the very least, we can create schools that are welcoming and inclusive, and a place where we value every kid, and that every kid knows their value, and that we're going to celebrate our differences. Because, I mean, let's face it, we live in a rich, diverse community, and it's awesome. Our differences make us stronger. That's my opinion, and especially in education, where we can have talks about our differences and our different upbringings, maybe, or different cultural experiences. These are all teachable moments, and I think where everybody wants to shy away from these things is we should be doubling down on our differences and celebrating them and using them as teachable moments.
Sure,
I mean that's the great
it's
thing,
very
right?
threatening to some people.
Yeah, and
diversity is threatening to some people.
I get it, but it's not a pie, right? So just because somebody's equal rights doesn't mean they're taking away your rights.
Right.
And so, it's not a zero-sum kind of game. And I think we got to get over that. And I think it's better. I see it with my kids, and I really do. I mean, I think kids are way ahead of some of the adults.
Oh yeah,
and their acceptance and celebration of their differences and diversity. I mean, that's what learning and growing is all about. It's not about staying in an echo chamber.
Sure.
Sometimes education can be uncomfortable, and that's okay.
Well, it's called education, right?
Right. That's what learning and
Isn't
growing
that what you're supposed
right?
to do? Is to be challenged?
I think a lot of times people are just scared.
Okay.
And fearful.
So I started the question with this security, and you mentioned using the technology to speed it up. and to make it smarter, right? Which by using some of that technology, you may have inadvertently answered my militarization of the, the hard choke points, because you can use the technology to make it, like we just said, flowing instead of bottlenecking. Most dangerous place in an airport is the metal detector because you've bottlenecked everyone.
Right.
Instead of letting everyone flow and spread out. So, okay. And I talked about bringing that full circle to the back end of the 4 pillars that you laid out, and I'm calling them pillars.
Yeah, no.
So, and the 4th one was to support the teachers. So you answered that with the safety and the security. You just answered that with classroom policy. How else? Because and let me just throw it out there. What I want to know, they're not paid enough, and we've heard that my entire life. And I'm sure before I was born, people talked about that as well. So I want to ask you: is payment a part of that?
Well, payment's a big part. I think we have to change the narrative. I don't think it's just supporting our teachers low-hanging fruit for me, right? We should all support the teachers as a part of the district or school board. But we have to really invest in our teachers, and we got to kind of change the mindset, right? Where, I'm going to support my teachers when things come up, and they need our support. Support should always be there, but we need to take a proactive investment in our teachers. And like you said, this song has been drawn out on the jukebox way too long. And to be fair, a big problem comes from the state, right? The funding that's given to the state with the formula and how much each teacher, can make. I think where the school board needs to kind of revamp its relationship with the union. And I mean that in the best possible way. I think for whatever reason, it's turned a little adversarial. It's us against them, right? In the negotiations every year, they come up, they wait till the end. Their accusations. So the contract's
only 1 year at a time.
No, but I'm just saying when they stagger these negotiations out, and the one that just went through a few months ago, it went to the very last day that it could go. When it went into where they basically had a quasi-judicial court for that the insurance hike, right? Where the district touted the 9% raise for teachers, but then it was going to be this huge. Yeah. 3 weeks later,
9% raise.
We find out that the insurance is going to cost
27% more.
Right. So it's, and I think, I don't know when they started doing it, but we got to start looking, I think, as compensation as a total package. Our compensation packages for our teachers as more of like a total package, not we're going to split it up and we're going to get the raise done here, but then we're going to get jimmied over here on the insurance, right? Or the number of days we have to work. Like, I understand that it's easier to get things done when you break it up into small bits, but I think the board and the union really, they have to have a reset on the relationship. It's gotten too adversarial, and I know that feelings get hurt on both sides.
Is every seat on the board up for election?
No,
it's a staggered board.
Yeah.
So how many seats are up for right now?
So right now it's District 4. I can tell you.
It's the only one?
No. Oh. So board member Felder.
Which is District.
There's
5 seats. 6 seats? 5 seats?
She won unopposed. So it's re-election, but she's elected. So, same with board member Bird out in the Apopka area.
So how many are actually?
So 1, 2, 3, and then. So I'm sorry. Of course, District 6, which is downtown. That's Dr. Karen Kester-Deno's seat is also up, and she's terming out because she's running for supervisor of elections.
It's not her seat. It's District 6's seat.
Yes.
So District 6.
Yes.
And we're District
4. Yep.
And then, so there's the only 2, because the other were unopposed.
Yeah, the other 2 were unopposed.
And there's a total of 6.
Well, and then you have Teresa Jacobs, which is at large.
At large, and that seat is up as well.
No.
Okay, so there's 7 members of the body. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and we have only 2 that are going to happen in November, and 2 are unopposed. Is that correct?
Well, so District 4 and District 6 will be in August.
August. So we have 2 which were re-elected by default because there was no one that ran against them.
Yep.
We We have 2, one of which is the one we're speaking about. We have 2 that are August.
Yep.
And then we have at-large in November.
I don't believe.
She's not.
Teresa
Okay,
Jacobs that
so there's
way.
only 2 right now.
Yeah.
So really only 2 seats are going to change.
Yeah.
So you want to change the relationship with the union, and maybe the other person does as well. That's 2 out of 7. You're going to need to start, because clearly, if the relationship is sour, we're only changing 2 faces.
Right. But
it's going to have to start here on the board before it starts with the teachers. Who's coming with the olive branch first, the union, or the teacher? The 2 new members of the board are going to get the other 5 in line to
And to be fair, I know President McCracken very well. I've been very fortunate. They've given me their endorsement.
And who's they?
The Orange County Classroom Teachers Association.
Okay.
For our specific race. I earned their endorsement a while back, and I'm very proud being a former teacher to get that. But he has done a great job. He has done a great job. And I believe the school board has done a great job. But my point is, when I talk about the adversarial relationship, is I think the tone can change, and I think it has to start somewhere, right?
Is it a temperature or tone or both?
It's both. I think tone impacts temperature, right? I mean, they're not mutually exclusive from each other, and I think both parties have to just realize we are here for one reason, and that's for the kids, right?
Sure.
We serve the students of Orange County, and whether you are a professional educator or you're an elected official or a district leader, I mean, we're all in some capacity here to serve the kids and educate them. And that we have the same goal. We're not adversaries, right? So, I don't know why that takes a turn sometimes, that relationship. But you say I'm only one of 2 new members or faces, but smaller things have gotten started in smaller ways.
But you're willing. I mean, I'm not discounting what you said. You're willing. I was just trying to feasibly think: is it possible? You're willing to be. You're willing to be the one of 2, if only 2. And I'm, speaking theoretically, you're going to hold an olive branch to make sure that it's got to go.
And I don't think that every board member has an adversarial relationship. Let me put it that way. I just think, when you get to the final day where action can happen on a negotiation, of course, the temperature is going to rise in the room, right? And lawyers are brought in.
Why did they need to be brought in?
That's through state legislation.
The state requires the attorneys.
When it gets to a certain point, and it goes before a magistrate, and then she sends it back, or the stuff is not ratified or turned down. It gets to a point in the process where they have to go into that quasi-judicial mode, and it's really odd to see. And I'm glad I experienced it. I went to the district office, the boardroom, and watched it play out, because it is odd to ask the superintendent and district leadership to sit on one side, and you have the teachers union on the other side, like where the plaintiff would be, right, or the defendant.
Oh, wow.
And then the board serves as a quasi-judicial judge almost. And they ask the board to be impartial. The legislation is written really weird, where now they are putting the board in this quasi-judicial mode, when, that's really hard to do when you work with district leadership all year and you're working with, teachers all year. To me, the way the legislation has it play out is very odd to me, but that's the way it is right now. And so, you got to follow the rule of law. So.
All right.
But I think, people always say there's a teacher shortage right now, and there's not. There's not a teacher shortage. There's an investment shortage by the state and by the districts to keep the teachers.
I don't blame any teacher for leaving. None. It's a lot to ask someone to live in poverty.
And I just, it frustrates me when I hear that everybody, there's a teacher shortage. It's a national issue. Like, no, UCF is still graduating kids from the department, in their College of Education. Colleges all across the country. it's not a teacher shortage. It's an investment shortage. And, at some point, we have to, as a community, decide what's important. Are we gonna invest in this? Are we gonna invest in our kids? And I think it's a worthwhile investment. It's just unfortunately, it hasn't been there from the state, and that affects the district.
And for the record, that's the fireworks.
Yeah, I love it. That's why everybody's getting up.
Yeah.
Best view
of the fireworks. Right here.
yeah, that's a great business strategy. You don't have to pack inside Magic Kingdom to get a view of the fireworks. I love it.
We got our own little. Actually, the girls singing. So it's a band called Amity Park. They're a local band, and they do punk rock Disney music. They do
Awesome.
punk rock covers of Disney music.
Awesome.
So we asked them to choreograph the fireworks to their music, and she's a teacher.
There you go. It's amazing.
So I want to ask you one more question, and then one more thing. Is there money in the budget to pay teachers more? Because we talked about that $0.50 is not for operational.
That is not.
So you can't take that money and pay teachers with it.
That is not used for that.
So how do you find money to pay teachers more to do the investment that you said when the state is cutting funding every year legislatively? Or maybe I should fact check myself. Is the state actually cutting funding every year?
If
Legislatively.
per pupil, the amount that's going in has been on steady decline, right? Not
So as costs are going up, where our per pupil funding is going
They
down.
will argue that it's more. I think. And here's a little overview. Education isn't like when you and I went to school. It's not. I lived in a town, had one school you were zoned for. You went for 8 hours a day, maybe played sports afterwards, and went home. I think post-COVID, and just with technology, I think that it's going to be more piecemeal together, education, right? So we have what you alluded to earlier. We have charter schools, we have homeschooling, we have virtual school, and we have options within all those. And so I think for a lot of kids in the years to come, I think, you might see a lot more. The kid might take 1 or 2 classes at home in the morning and then go to school for the rest of his day. Or he might start school at the traditional school and then cut out at lunch and take the rest of his classes virtually. Or
That affects funding?
well, it can if they're excuse me. If they're going outside of like OCVS or Orange County Virtual, or if they decide they're only going to take a certain amount of day and they could do Florida Virtual or a different, or however they're piecemealing it together. And I get asked this all the time, like, well, what's your opinion on like school choice and things like that? I think choices are fine, right? Choices are good, whether it's for parents, for kids. I think the challenge with OCPS is how do we make OCPS the premier choice for all kids, right? How do we make it the best option, most affordable option, with innovative classrooms, some of the best teachers? And that's really kind of where I come in with the career and tech ed stuff, because I don't see a lot of other private schools or charter schools necessarily doing that on the range that OCPS
Charter
is.
schools, they don't have the funding. It's
Right.
different topic.
Right. But so, when the people ask, well, how do we separate ourselves from the competition and make it the premier choice? That's one of the ways. That's a very foreseeable way to separate ourselves from private schools, to home schools.
But, okay, so just in the simplest terms, my question was, is there money in the budget to give the teachers more money? Is it possible as they're cutting it down, or as the state is pulling it? Because we have to do it.
I think there is, but here's the thing. As they're cutting it down, at some point, it's going to be a breaking point, right? Almost like a break-even analysis. As funding goes away from the state, there's only so much. It's a finite amount of money, conceptually speaking. So what are we going to do more efficient? How can we run a more efficient district, right?
Sure.
To keep that money to pay teachers.
Okay.
And I'll say this too, pay is number one. But I think there's other ways that we can invest in our teachers as well, right? Whether it's creating pipelines for new teachers, like at Valencia, they're starting to do with partnerships with that. But we also got to what about the benefits? What's the benefit?
Well, you brought that up. I mean,
Right.
we're not gonna. You need
Right.
to look at it as one.
You got to
not
look at it as a whole package, not just pay. Okay, here we're going to pay you this, but we're going to increase your insurance. Your pay's gone. Your paycheck's gone. So, what are the benefits? What kind of benefit packages do we have? And I think we have to think big. We have to what about workforce housing? Like, why can't we work with the county, and do more workforce housing and programs for teachers in our district? Maybe not just new teachers, but veteran teachers, maybe that need that more affordable. I don't like the term affordable housing, right? It gets thrown around and there's a stigma to it. But we call it workforce housing and things like that, and that stigma kind of goes away. But we need to start thinking kind of outside the box and bigger picture. Like, how can we live in Orlando, Orange County, Florida. People come here from all over the world, save their entire lives to come here.
Yeah.
We should have no trouble having teachers here, the best teachers, right? So we have to think bigger, and it's got to be more than a 10% off a SeaWorld ticket. Not that that's not great for our teachers, but we got to think more about in terms of how can we really impact the cost of living for our teachers so that they have more buying power, whether it's through programs or how we can lower their cost of living down. And I know people are like, well, that's a pie in the sky kind of idea, but we live in this awesome community. Disney World's in our back. I can hear the fireworks right now, right? Universal's over there. SeaWorld's down the road.
Sure.
We're 65 miles from the Atlantic, 50 miles from the Gulf or whatever we are. We should have no problem creating programs that get the best teachers. And I will say this, the teachers we have are amazing, but we need to keep them, right? We need to keep them because for a lot of kids, they spend more time with our teachers than they do with their parents and given.
Of course, absolutely.
And for better or for worse.
Yep,
that's the reality of it.
All right, so my last question is, what didn't I ask you that you wanted to talk about?
Maybe.
What should we know? Let me rephrase it. What else should we know about you?
What you should know about me? I guess
that I haven't asked.
I'm
gonna let you have the closing.
Just that, I have no political ambitions beyond this. I'm an educator at heart. I have 2 girls in OCPS schools, one that's starting in high school, and I've got a 4th grader. And I believe in the power of education. I love the idea of public education and the values that has, and the impact it has on a community. Every thriving community is built on high achieving schools, right? And so, to be a former educator and to be a current father of 2 amazing daughters in OCPS right now has just been the greatest adventure. And can we make it better? Yes. And will we make it better? Absolutely. I hope so. But we do live in a great district, and the teachers here are amazing. And when I started this adventure, our campaign motto was, together we can build a better village. And that's kind of the thought process of, as a community, it's going to take community effort to really not save public education, but really, really make public education excel in the next few years with all the changes that are coming to it. And whether it's from business leaders, faith-based leaders, nonprofit organizations, strategic partners, parents, grandparents, uncles, the kids, it takes a big, sincere buy-in from everybody. And I think we can get there. I'm optimistic. A lot of people are pessimistic about public education right now, and I understand there are a lot of roadblocks and challenges. But I got to be honest with you. After going through Leadership Orange and having my girls the ages they are and being a former teacher, I'm really optimistic about public education. And I know it's going to take a lot of work, but the opportunities that lie ahead far exceed any challenges we have or face as a community. So, I feel good about it.
Well, good, man. August 20th.
I'm ready. Gonna have Can't wait to take a day off August 21st. But I appreciate this. And it's my first time ever making a commercial pizza. And you have a fabulous establishment.
Thanks, man.
And I wish you well. I mean, if there's anything I can ever do for you, let me know.
All right.
Congratulations on this concept, too, because, you know, I really don't care. You know, I know people lean left, people lean right. Some people don't lean at all. And it's, I think that having open, civilized dialogue is
Need more of it.
Is the key to moving forward.
We're all neighbors.
Yeah, you know.
And that's what people need to realize.
And people
calm down.
Yeah.
It's not Washington.
Yeah.
They're not your enemy.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what's cool about America is that, and you know, I say this to say, we have problems, but there are problems, and one way to get Americans together real fast and to see what America is to mess with Americans real fast. And we're still the greatest country on the face of the planet. There are problems. We'll figure them out. And the circus that is Washington is not and should not be our neighborhoods.
You're absolutely right. And it shouldn't be in our school boards.
It shouldn't exist in Washington. And yes, it shouldn't be in school boards. That's absolutely right. All right, man. Well, it was a pleasure.
I appreciate it, Stephen. This is awesome.
Go catch some fireworks with your family. Get out there.
You
for
know
the
what?
grand
I'm going to
finale.
eat some pizza. I'm eating the pizza.
Okay. All right.
Fireworks are there every night, right? I don't get to make my own pizza every day.
There you go.
That was awesome, man. Thank you so much for doing this.